Uber Eats or Uber Rides. So when I first signed up for Uber, I started doing just the rides. No, yeah. I did the rides, and then you have the option you can do rides and deliveries at the same time. So I will get requests for both rides and deliveries, but most of the time I would just get rides, like very, very few deliveries. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to both, obviously. I think a lot of it comes down to personal preference. For me, right now, I'm loving deliveries all day. I mean, if you follow my channel and you watch my videos, it's all about the deliveries. But I did start out doing the rides. I did the rides for about 2, 3 months. And after that, I started to just do deliveries. Like, I took off the rides and I just wanted to try deliveries to see if I could do that full time and how much I would make just doing that without the rides. So I did that, and now it's been 3 months just deliveries, and I don't think I'm gonna go back to rides. Maybe I might. I'm thinking about it a little bit, but honestly, I'm really cool with the food deliveries. And now that I've been getting to Postmates and I signed up for DoorDash too, I don't think I need to go back to the rides. But anyway, that's not to discourage if you're into the rides or if you want to get into the rides. I think they're both great. I would say the best thing is to just try both and see which one you like better, because it depends. It just depends on a lot, like where you are. If for the deliveries, if there's a lot of restaurants around you. If not, if you're in an area where it's just more rides, then the rides might work better for you. It really just depends. So I would say try both and see which works best. So pros for rides. So with the rides, what's cool is you could get a ride that's, if you get lucky and you get that ride that's far, so the further the person goes, the more money you're going to get for the ride. So if you get someone going to like an airport, or even you can drop someone off out of state, depending on which state you're registered in, but you can't pick up in that state. So since I'm registered in Connecticut, if someone goes to Massachusetts, I can drop them off in Massachusetts or New York, but I can't pick up anyone else from those states. But that ride is really long, so you could do like an hour-long ride and make $100 in an hour. Whereas with the deliveries, that doesn't really happen. I think the furthest I've gone for the food is maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30. And I think the most I've made off of one delivery is $15 to $20. So, I mean, it doesn't take an hour like that long ride would, but you don't have that opportunity in the deliveries like you do with the rides. You can get the one long ride, and if that's your goal for the day, then boom, 1 hour, you're done. But at the same time too, those rides don't always happen. Sometimes you have to be lucky, or it just needs to be a certain area, certain time. So it depends. Pros for the food, you're literally just driving with a bag of food. Like, the food doesn't talk to you, it doesn't complain, it doesn't creep on you, it doesn't ask you really personal questions. Like, it's just food. And you pick it up, you bring it to the person, and 9 times out of 10 the person is really happy. I have had very, very few problems. I've only had to go back to a restaurant twice in the 3 months. All the deliveries that I've done, I've only had to go back for 2, to fix something that happened with the order. So that's definitely a pro. You can listen to your own music, you can space out if you want, you don't have to entertain. Like with the passengers, not everybody talks. I mean, I was surprised at how many people did, and I met some cool people. Like, I had some really, really cool conversations. But sometimes you get the people that don't want to talk to. But the food, it's obviously the food is not going to talk to you. So that's a plus. So another pro with the deliveries is tips. I've mentioned this in a lot of my other videos before. People tend to tip a lot more for the deliveries. I've had tips with the rides too, but definitely way more with the food. I think it's just, food delivering has been around for a long time, not necessarily in the form that it is now, with these apps. But when people order food, it's just really common to tip. tip the driver, or if they're on foot, whoever the person is delivering the food, it's been around for a long time to tip them. Whereas with the rides, it's kind of like some people feel like they have to tip, some people don't. I've definitely you have to deal with the drunk people, obviously, with the rides, but I got some nice tips from some of the drunk people. Not all of them, but some of them, because they're drunk, they're not really thinking, so they're just like, here you go, thank you. So that was cool. That actually leads me to a con for the rides. You have to deal with, drunk people, especially nights and weekends. Weekends, Friday, Saturday, sometimes even Sunday, holidays. You're dealing with a whole different crowd of people. I definitely feel like if you're going to do the rides, you have to be a certain type of person. You have to be social. You have to have patience. You have to be ready. It is kind of nice. In the back of my mind, I try to look at it as, these people are choosing not to drink and drive. So that's major bonus. Anyone calling an Uber, Lyft, whatever service you use, so I feel like a good person because I'm helping them get home or wherever they're going safe. So that's cool. And I've had some people who were out drinking and partying stuff. They were okay. I actually never had someone throw up in my car. I got lucky with that. So, they weren't all bad. But then, you have the people who are not so great, where you kind of have to sit there like, let me just get you to where you need to go and get out of my car, please. I'm glad you got here safe, but please just get out. And I hope you get a different Uber next time. So you have to be ready for that. It's hard not to drive during those hours and to not want to deal with those people because it's busy during that time, and that's when you get a lot of the surge and the boosts. So you can make a lot in a short amount of time. So if you can be patient, just deal with those people, it can be worth it. So it's like, it's a pro and a con. You have to be ready with that. With the food delivery, you don't really have to deal with that. I mean, if you're delivering to someone who's partying or who's not sober, 2 seconds, you just hand them the food. I guess if I had to find another con with the deliveries, probably the biggest things that bother me are waiting. I've mentioned that before. When I get somewhere, when I get to the place where the food needs to be delivered and the person is nowhere to be found, they're not answering the phone, I call, I text, I sit there for a little bit and I give them a chance. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Aren't you hungry? I mean, you ordered food because you want to eat it, right? Or maybe it's for your coworker or your friend or something, but someone wants that food. So where are you? What is the deal? It's just, to this day, I cannot figure that out. So that's definitely annoying, because you want to keep going with your day. You want to accept more rides. You don't want to sit there. You just want to give them the food, which can kind of turn into a plus. I mean, it sucks for the person who ordered the food, but Uber has this thing. You sit for a while, you can't get in touch with them. You can contact customer service. If you're in the delivery, there is a number that you can use. So you call them, you explain the situation. They try to call the customer. If they can't get in contact with them, then you get to keep the food. I mean, in my case, it's only happened about, I believe, 3 times. Yeah, I want to say 3 times. I was sitting there for 10 minutes, maybe 15 after the phone call. Could not find the person. They called. They couldn't find the person. So all right, you can either throw away the food or you can keep it. And you still get paid for the delivery. So you get free food and you get paid. I mean, it sucks because it's someone else's food, but hey, you didn't want to answer the phone, your door is locked, there's no details to the apartment or anything. If I have the option to leave it somewhere, I will, but I'm sorry. I can't sit there all day and wait for you. So that's definitely something that can happen. And I guess another thing that kind of bothers me, I've had a lot of people put the wrong address. I really haven't been on the ordering side much, but you'll be in the middle of a delivery and you're driving, obviously, and they're calling you, they're texting you like, hey, I put the wrong address. So it's like, I'm trying to drive right now. And then wasn't there something when you ordered the food that you could like see where the food is going? I mean, I know some people are kind of quick and they might have overlooked it, but usually too when they change the address, it's like far. It's far from where the original address was. So that can just, it's not a huge deal, but it's just a little inconvenient, especially if I get another request while I'm on that delivery based on the original address that I was going to, because that's what the app bases it off of. That kind of throws it off a little bit, so that can be a little frustrating. If you're gonna compare rides and deliveries money wise, I can't. It's really hard for me to speak on that because you can make the same amount of money with both. I was making a little bit more when I was just doing the rides, only because I was working more. I had more time to dedicate to it, and I had other things going on in my life, other things picking up, which is good. It's in a good way. So, when I got more into the deliveries, I mean, I've been working a lot, but not as much as I was with the rides, so I'm making a little bit less. But I don't think it's because of rides or deliveries. I think it's because of the time I'm putting into it. So I can't give a concrete answer with that. But to be honest, seeing how both ends of the app work, I really think you can make the same amount of money. If you put in the time, you play around with it, you start figuring things out a little bit better, and you get more comfortable with it, you can make a lot. Tip-wise, you're going to make more with the food. That I can absolutely say. And now that Uber put the in-app tipping, that might change for the rides too. I noticed when I was doing the rides and they could tip in the app, I was getting a little bit more, because a lot of people, they want to tip, but they don't have cash. So that, good for you, Uber. That's good on your part. Yeah, so that's my opinion on Uber Eats versus Uber Rides. I personally am going to stick with the deliveries, but I have absolutely nothing against the rides. I think Uber overall is great, so I would just try both. Definitely give both a try and see how it works for you. Catch you later, guys.